All right, guys, welcome back. Before we get into the video, I just wanted to say thank you to all of the new subscribers. We got a lot over the last two videos with the Chase Deets and the Christopher Bell videos yesterday. So thank you all so much for subscribing to the channel. Really do appreciate that. I want to mention as well, at 5,000 subscribers, we are planning on releasing some merchandise, some t-shirts and things like that. So we are getting close. I believe we're at 4,300 subscribers right now. So definitely pretty crazy how quickly this thing has grown up here, and it's awesome to see. So today, talking about Spencer Bayston and his season with CJB Motorsports, which we know now was the final of his tenure with that team after 3 years. Bayston this year with High Limit Racing had 49 A main event starts. He had 0 wins, 13 top 5s, 27 top 10s, and he did lead 5 laps of feature action throughout the year. He would end up 8th in the overall championship standings, which is always been able to accomplish when it comes to the championship standings. He was 8th both years on the Outlaw Tour and 8th this year with High Limit. We'll see if next year if he can finally break out of the 8s when he switches over to the Jason Myers 14 car. Midweek standings, however, he was 3rd, so he was very good during the midweek money series events. His money earned, this is just with High Limit Racing, he had $126,033 in race earnings. He got $50,000 for 8th in the championship standings and another $12,500 from the midweek standings. So you look at those numbers right there, 126 plus 50, that's going to be 176, plus another 12,000 right there. So what is that, 188 or something like that? You guys know, if you watch this channel a lot, that I am horrendous at math, but that sounds about right. He was ahead of the 9th place driver, Parker Price Miller, by 190 points. He was 126 points behind the 13 of Justin Peck. Provisionals used for Spencer Bayston this year, he only had to use 3 out of the allotted 6 throughout the season, so did not have too many issues when it came to actually making the show out of the B or out of the heat race. I want to say 2 of those provisionals came during Skagit. I might be wrong on that, but that was a tough week for him. DNFs, he had 5 of those, so definitely a little bit high in the DNF category there, and hopefully next year he'll be able to clean that up. And, not all the DNFs are, problems with him crashing. Could certainly also be from the car having an issue throughout the night or whatever it was. But 5 DNFs for Spencer Bayston. We mentioned he was not able to get any wins on the year. So what was his best finish on the season? It was a 2nd place result at the Kokomo Speedway during the Midweek Money Series, race number 15. So he got that 2nd place finish in the first half of the season. And then he was able to obviously get quite a few more top 5s throughout the year. I think he got like maybe 2 more podiums. He got one at Southern Oklahoma. I think he got one during a Gold Cup prelim night maybe as well. So Bayston was flirting with a win all year long, just could not quite get it done. He was 30th overall this year in 2024 in SprintCarRatings.com, and we can officially say that he is 30th overall because there's no more 410 races throughout the rest of the year. And I'm going to start adding this to the rest of the season previews. I thought this would be interesting. In parentheses, next to his Sprint Car Ratings ranking was his ranking from 2023. So last year, he was actually 23rd overall. So he lost 7 spots in the overall ranking system, the formula that they put together at SprintCarRatings.com. The prediction that I had for Spencer Bayston at the beginning of the year, following through with the rest of my predictions so far, it was way off. I had him for 2 to 4 wins, and I had him for 5th or 6th in points. Obviously, no wins, and he was 8th in points. So I was pretty far off with the prediction there for him. Best stretch of races for him came during races 40 through 49, so about a 9 or 10 race stretch there. 8 top 10 finishes in that stretch, and then his worst was between races 23 through 33, so about a 10 race stretch there as well. He only had 1 top 10 finish in that set of races, so he did end the season pretty strong. The last 9 or 10 races, he had 8 top 10s, and so that's, you'd rather finish off the year strong than start the year good and then finish bad. And I probably should have mentioned in there, the last stretch of races, he had quite a few top 5s in a row. So it was definitely a pretty good ending to the year for him. Now let's jump into the board that I feel like most people maybe watch this video for, or these videos, I should say, with the season and reviews. These are the stats that compare him to the rest of the drivers that ran High Limit Racing last year. So in red is his number of whatever stat it is. In green is how he ranked up against the other 16 drivers that raced with High Limit. So average finish of 10.4, which no surprise is 8th. He was 8th in points. Usually that stat goes along with where he finished at in points. Average start was 11.2. He was 8th there as well. Average qualifying, he was a little bit worse. He was at 9.1, which was tied for 9th with one other driver. He had 17 out of a possible 43 dash appearances, which was 8th overall with the series. And then when it comes to dash wins, he only had 1. He was tied. It was a 4-way tie for 8th in that category for Spencer Bayston. He was good with the hard charger department. He had 4 of those. He was tied with 3 drivers for 3rd overall with the series with 4 hard chargers. And then quick times, he had 3 of those. So he was pretty fast in qualifying. As you see, 9.1 is a pretty good qualifying average. But 3 quick times, that was tied for 9th overall with 1 other driver. He only had 8 B main event appearances, which was right there in the middle of the pack at 8th, the 8th least amount of B main appearances on the year. His average redraw wheels, so he was in the dash 17 times. His average redraw wheel spin, what number he usually landed on, was a 17, which was tied for 10th with 1 other driver. And then over here on this side of the board, we've got his heat race wins. He had 11 heat wins, so he was pretty good at winning the heat race. Tied for 5th with 3 drivers in that one. And then his top 5 efficiency. So if you don't know what that is, it is when the driver starts in the top 5, does he also finish in the top 5? He had 14 top 5 starts and only finished in the top 5 6 of those times. 42% of the time, which is tied with 1 other driver for 10th overall with the series. And now the same thing for top 10 efficiency. He was much better in this department. 26 top 10 starts and 20 top 10 finishes. 76% of the time he was able to finish in the top 10 when he started there. That is 9th best with the series. His plus minus was a plus 38, meaning that he passed 38 cars throughout the entire season with high limit, which might not sound good if you're maybe new to that stat, but it takes into account, let's just say he started 3rd one night and wrecked out and finished 24th. Well, there's a minus 21 right there. So he was able to pass more cars off more often than not, and so that's 8th best as well. Races where he had a positive plus minus, meaning he finished ahead of where he started at. 26 out of the 49 races that he had this year, he was finishing ahead of where he started at. So that is 12th best overall, so not very good there. Average finish from the first half of the year, so the first 24 races, he was a 10.6 average finish. And then the second 25 races, he was at 11.4. So got a little bit worse there. I think he had most of his DNFs in the second half. I would say, this might sound weird, but he had the more DNFs and bad finishes in the first half of the second half of the season because we just mentioned it on the other board. His best stretch of races was the last 10 races. So before those 10 races, he must have had some really bad finishes to bump that down to 11.4. He was very, very good at the pill draw table. He was tied with 3 drivers with the second best pill draw average at 28 whenever he came up to spin the wheel and find out where he was going to qualify. Now, the final board here for this season in review for Spencer Bayston, as you all know, maybe you don't, it is the community tab. We put up these polls and you guys vote and give the report card to each driver on how you guys think he did throughout the year. The community tab did have 420 votes for this driver. People that voted A gave him a 1% of the, 1% of people gave him an A grade on the year. So I do not agree with that 1%. If that's 1 guy, 2 guys, I don't know. I think if Spencer Bayston would have gotten a win this year, maybe it would have been an A. 2 wins for sure. B, 23%. The majority of the vote going to 66% for a C grade, and then D to F at 10% of the vote. So quite a bit of people voting D to F. I think for me, much like what you see here, it's somewhere between a B minus and a C plus. Like I said, if he would have gotten a couple wins, maybe even 1, but 2 wins, he would have certainly been in the B category, maybe an A. But those the goose egg in the win column certainly hurt him quite a bit. His future plans, we do know that he's going to be driving the Jason Myers 14 next year full time with High Limit Racing. So unlike a lot of the drivers that we do these with, we don't know their future. But with Spencer Bayston, we already know what he's going to do. Now, also on that community tab, I didn't want to write these down. I feel like that just kind of takes a lot of time. They're hard to read. My handwriting already sucks. So I'm going to read them off the laptop over here. Slider Die 24X. He said a B. He's very underrated. I haven't seen that 5 car looks spectacular at all. I bet he does really good in the 14, so that came from Slide or Die. Regular Joe's, all he said was C+, and then Sprint Car Fan 87, I think that the 5 car is a penalty box. So those were the limited comments that we had on the community tab there when talking about the report card for Spencer Bayston. Later today, I'm going to put up the report card for, who will it be? It will be Brent Marks. So make sure to go over there in an hour or so and start voting on those. Thank you guys so very much for watching these videos. Make sure to hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, comment down below. What did you think about Spencer Bayston's season, and what do you think about him in the future? I want to hear your thoughts down below, and we'll talk to you guys again here soon.